Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, we did our live stream last night. We missed last week. We hated to do that, but we also enjoyed the grandchildren that we were spending our time with last Saturday. But yesterday we did our live stream like normal. Should go back and watch that one. I kept it up. I don't think we crossed the line too much. In case you wonder, when we do a live stream, if we're talking about things that kind of cross the YouTube censorship line, I delete it afterwards. But this one, I think we're okay so far, knock on wood. Anyways, go back and watch that if you get a chance. I know it's an hour and a half long, but we talk about a lot. It was a really good one. One of the things we talked about was, the whole New Mexico thing. If you haven't been paying attention to the news for the last couple of days, the governor of New Mexico has gone rogue, according to Republican legislatures in that state. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But if you missed the live stream and you want to do another one, well, we are doing another one today at around 4 o'clock-ish or so Central Time on locals. Now, you have to be a member. So if you want to do that, there'll be a link in the description and probably the comments to go over and join up on locals. It's only $3 a month. We do live streams every week. My wife's posting like recipes and articles and stuff. She's writing some of them. Some of them she just, finds things that, a lot of health. My wife really focuses on, diet and health and stuff. And then I'm making videos there almost daily. So it's a good deal to get into for only $3 a month. Anyway, so if you haven't heard, the governor of New Mexico, well, there was an 11-year-old child ended up dying and stuff because of firearms. Very tragic. But as you all know, they try to take these tragedies, the far left, these Marxist communists, they take the tragedy that happens, and they try to use it to push their agenda. And that's exactly what's happened. This governor has issued an emergency declaration for the state, an emergency firearms, a state of firearms emergency. I don't know how they're wording it. It doesn't matter. And because of that, she has issued state-level executive orders to suspend your Second Amendment rights, especially if you live in New Mexico. She has issued orders suspending the carry of weapons for 30 days and the purchasing of weapons. I believe apparently New Mexico still has a permit system. A lot of states have done away with that. Missouri, there's no permits in Missouri, but they're suspending that. And of course, a lot of people are saying, well, this is an executive order. It's a rule. It doesn't apply. I am in full agreement with you, but we no longer live in a free country. We don't live in a free, constitutionally based government anymore. I mean, these orders definitely are direct violations of the U.S. Constitution. And there are some state legislatures there that are trying to rise up. They've even started a potential impeachment of her. I don't know how far that will go, her being the governor, but we'll see. And I went through this last night in the live stream, and I said, I get it, because oftentimes I will say something, maybe the ATF does, or an executive order or something, and I get a lot of people saying, yeah, but that's not constitutional. It doesn't apply. These are rules, not laws. These are rules that don't apply to us. These are rules that are unconstitutional. Trust me, I completely understand the argument, and I agree with what you're saying. The problem is the people that have the badges and the guns and the militaries and all the enforcement wing, they don't agree with you. And so the Constitution, while it may be valid to you and I, it may still technically be the document that governs this land. The people that are running the show no longer recognize it. It means nothing to them. And you can watch on a daily basis federal, state, and even local governments doing things that are complete violations of the Constitution, and no one really says anything. Only occasionally when there's something that's so outlandish as this executive order by the governor do people kind of stand up and say, oh, well, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute, that's unconstitutional. You can't do that. Well, what about all the other stuff? What about all the welfare? What about all the sending billions of dollars overseas? What about the entire departments of like the ATF and the FDA and the Department of Education and virtually most of the federal level departments under the presidency. Most of them are unconstitutional and do things that are unconstitutional and issue these rules, not laws, rules, and that people abide by them. And if they choose not to, they face some level of punishment, whether it's a fine or even imprisonment. There are people in prison right now serving time for breaking a rule that is unconstitutional. So I get it, but we also have to realize that according to the people that run this country, and I'm not speaking of just the Democrats, because the Republicans are just as guilty of this. The people that are running the country, the politicians, the banks, the NGOs, the government itself, all of them, they couldn't care less about what the Constitution says. And so that's what we're left with here, is a banana republic that exists under the guise of a document that they no longer recognize, they no longer adhere to. And so what do we have after that? Well, we have a government run by oligarchs that they put a person into power that represents them, called the president, and they run the show. They don't really care what you say. They don't listen to you. They listen to the big corporations and the lobbyists, which don't represent you either. And we're left with people that, whether they may be left or right on the political spectrum, they pretty much all unanimously agree that they can't stand the government and what it's doing. This is what we're left with, and it's going to get worse. Now, going back before I continue on this rabbit trail, let's go back to the New Mexico thing. My personal belief, and this is, I guess you could call this a conspiracy theory, but my personal belief that this is not some rogue governor that's just, decided to do this and go off the reservation on doing this executive order. I believe this is part of the plan. I believe this is purposeful. They did it in a state, and no offense to anyone from New Mexico, but it's done in a state that's, it's not in the headlines all the time. It's not a state that everyone's talking about all the time. It's one of those states that kind of gets forgotten about for the most part, Texas is always being talked about. It's always in the news. California, New York, Florida. There are certain states that are just, I guess you could say, more popular, according to news. This is one that just kind of gets missed. And it's gotten done. We'll see what happens from it. But I think it's being purposefully done. Let's test the waters of how we can restrict people's firearms rights, their gun rights, through executive order. Because I guarantee you, that is exactly what Biden is wanting to do. He wants to do something just like this. He has said all kinds of things, that he is going to do everything within his power, everything that he can. He's going to, go to great lengths to try to restrict firearms ownership and use in this country. He despises them. He despises your rights, and he's going to do everything he can. And up until now, legislatively, it's been falling flat. He can't get anything done, and we know that that's probably going to be the case. He's been using the long arm of the ATF to do that, but then that's also getting shot down in courts, and is not as effective in some ways as probably he wants it to be. So I wouldn't doubt it if at some point they try something similar to this. It's probably not going to be the same thing, but similar. It could be some type of emergency because we've entered a state of world war, and then we have to restrict firearms for whatever reason they come up with. But I think that this thing in New Mexico is kind of testing the waters to see how it goes, see how the courts take it. Why does this lose in court, right? So they can say, okay, so we worded it this way, or we did it this way. Now, what if we reword it this way? What if we do the executive order this way? Maybe that would pass in courts. They have to start somewhere. There's always somewhere that they have to throw these things out there to see if they stick. And I think personally, and I have no evidence whatsoever, but I think personally that's what we're seeing here. The one governor decided, yeah, you know what, I'll be the guinea pig. I'll be the guinea pig, and we'll try this, and we'll see if it works. The point is that the firearms thing is always front and center in their agenda. We talk about all the other stuff going on, and that's all legitimate. It's all bad. They're all doing all these things that we talk about. But the firearms is something that they want, because they know that their agenda can only go so far as long as a good amount of the populace owns firearms. It doesn't mean that the whole populace is going to rise up, because I don't think that would happen anyways, even all of these firearms owners. But they know that it's risky. It's risky to push us too far, as long as we're well armed, which is why you should be well armed. You should be doing everything that you can to become well armed. It's not that expensive. In fact, right now, even with the economy, with the dollar, the de-dollarization of the U.S. currency, all of that kind of stuff that's going on right now is one of the best times to arm up. I'll leave a link. I'm not trying to sell you something, because this honestly is legitimate. I'll leave a link to Palmetto State Armory down in the description below. They regularly, I don't know what they have right now, but they regularly run deals where you can get ARs, complete ARs, for under $400, $325, $350. Just last week they were running a sale, a very, very good deal. Even 10, 20 years ago, you couldn't find deals like that. Couldn't you find ammo cheaper in the past? Maybe, but it's pretty reasonable right now. So when you're looking at your preps, I mean, this is Preparedness Month. Firearms needs to be one of the top things. It's not the only thing. I understand. If you just focus on guns and nothing else, you're just as weak as anybody else. That kind of rhymed, didn't it? But the point is that you need to have them. You should have them, because you just never know. There's all kinds of circumstances that would arise that you would need them. So you need to have your self-defense tools down. I'm not going to go into the details of what. It needs to fit within your budget. It needs to be the best quality you can afford. And it needs to be something that you can use. If it's not something you can comfortably and confidently use, then it's the wrong one for you. I'm not some kind of FUD on particulars of brand or caliber or style. Get what works for you and learn how to use it proficiently. That's the main focus. Now, if you're in a group, yes, it makes sense to have uniformity in a group and all that. But that's not this video. The point is that they are coming after them. And they're coming after them really relentlessly. And I suspect that there will be more things. I mean, look at all the violence that's happening, all the shootings and stuff, whether they're legitimate, naturally happening, or they're orchestrated by certain powers. We know that all of these events are being used, much like all the climate change news these events are being used to push an agenda. Oh, see, look at all these violent actions happening. Well, we need laws to restrict them. No, not restrict the violence of the people doing that, but restrict the tools that people use. Yes, let's take those away. This is going to be continually pushed. And at some point, something's going to start sticking to the wall, folks. And that's a very bad, dark day for us. We already have way too many firearms restrictions in this country. And you need to be taking advantage of the moment, because there's no guarantee how much longer this moment that we're living in will exist, where you can fairly freely and actually quite economically arm up. So you need to be doing that, stocking up, ammo, tools, all that kind of stuff. You don't need tons and tons of different options of tools. You focus on the ammo. If you get you 2 or 3 good tools that work well and you know how to use, then I would focus on bulking up on the ammo. That way you have plenty in case it all starts getting restricted or the prices skyrocket again. The point is you need to be getting ready, and this is a very serious area to get ready with, and that's arming up. It's time to get your houses in order, folks. It's time to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. And your personal defense, firearms, that's definitely a big one. Folks, you know what you need to be doing. Quit pushing it off. Quit ignoring it. Quit rolling your eyes. If you are called, if you are that part of that remnant that hears that calling, that things are getting bad, and we need to start taking advantage of the last few moments we have to get ready, then you better start doing it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.